I just put this one together right here, and now the MotoMaxes are coming in boxes like this now, same as the Bras, about the same amount of assemblies needed. Okay, very different bike, so it's not quite as identical or the same as putting on a Bras together. So I decided we need to make another video on how to assemble a MotoMax. So I will do a black one for y'all, as you can see. Here's a white one, so let's go over to the black one. So this is how your bike comes. It's going to be in a nice box, same size as the Bras, roughly 74 inches long. Alright, grab everything you need. I just got everything out, so that's what you want to do. Get the frame off, throw all the plastic to the side, cut all the tape. This is how it comes, very similar to our other bike. Basically the only thing in the rear you have to do is the rear shock bolt and the foot pegs. Clearly that foot peg right there was bent, so I'm gonna have to take a hammer or something and straighten that back out. That's not a problem. Here's your box that you get with it. I just opened it. Let's see what's in here. So you got mirrors, right? Whether you choose to use those or not, obviously everybody has their own preference. A lot of mirror options out there. You got 2 foot pegs. You got 1 rear foot peg. It's going to be on this side because the other side is already there. This is going to be for the front fender bracket. It's going to sit up here just like this. Alright, but we'll show that later. Toolkit. To use, obviously this, you don't need this one. You need the one that I give you if you're buying this direct, or obviously if you're buying this from a dealer, you don't gotta worry about this stuff, the paperwork at all. Let's see. And here's your bag of bolts. This is gonna look a lot different on this bike than another bike. Obviously, completely different machine. So let's go over these bolts real quick. Alright, let's set aside everything that's I can remember off the top of my head. Alright, so we got our 2 black kind of U-bar things with the 4 green 6mm Allens for the handlebars. You got this big spacer is for the front wheel, You're going to have 2 of these big 6mm Allens as well in the chrome, and those are going to be for the rear foot peg. So let's find those right here. Get your spacer on them too. There should be a 1 size spacer here. There it is. That fits those. Rear foot peg, that one side. Get this, this is for the handlebar on the left side. The green ones are what go in there. Alright, this big bolt is going to be for your rear shock. It's going to have, let's see, what's it going to have? It's going to have a washer. This one's a lock washer. And it should have a nut. Let's see. Where's the nut? I believe either one of these can work. This is a locking nut, so this is better. I think is something else. It doesn't actually go on here well or easily. So we'll set that one off to the side. We'll use this one. That spins on there nicely. Rear shock. If you can get this one to work, all the better. It seems to be quite difficult to actually get it to thread on, so it must be for something else. What else we got? Alright, so we've got 2 kind of shiny 5mm Allens about this long right here. These are for the pinch bolts right here. Okay. Your pinch bolts. 2 pinch bolts. Alright, this big guy right here, 8/8. This is going to be for the front bracket. It's going to be come up through the bottom right there. Alright, so that's going to be for the front of that. I'm going to set that right there. These 2, the 2 6 mils, like on the shorter ones. Let's see, where's the other one? Right here. And then this guy right here, this little one, I think it's a 10. It's an 8 or a 10. This is the one that goes right here. Alright, so save that by your front fender bracket. And then these 2 are going to be for like the air vent, air dam. That kind of goes right here. See, they're going to go right there. Yeah? Okay. Alright, so that's what those go for. And then, oh, these are going to go into them. There's 2 little Phillips screws, really. You can't use the big ones because there's not enough space. But save those in case you need them. Some of these are going to be extra screws or extra washers that you don't need. Just save them in your bag for later. But these 2 are going to go into these 2. And that should do it. I'm going to save these for later, or if I come up on anything. But let's do a quick recap. Handlebars, front wheel spacer. These are going to be for your rear foot peg, the one side. These are for your pinch bolts for the front axle. Ignition bolts, 2 6mm. This is for the handlebar left side. These 4 and these 4 bolts for the headlight. These 2 are for the side, the underside of the front tank plastics. Rear shock bolt and nut. This is all for your foot peg pins and set. Alright. And this is all for your front fender right here. Alright. And a lot of bolts are already in where they need to go, such as here. You're going to use these 2. They're already there. For the side are already there. But this little spread right here is about all you're going to need to assemble this bike. You will need a floor jack of some kind to get up in the air, and other than that, no fancy tools. So let's get started. Also, you should have 2 bolts like this, and they're going to be the larger shiny ones. These are going to be your rear caliper bolts, so I just set them in there just so I don't lose them. But those are for your rear caliper. Once you get this up in the air, you'll have space to put that on. Alright, well, let's get the ignition and instrument cluster and handlebar together, and then we'll start on that side and work our way down. Taking our 2 kind of shorter 6mm Allen bolts for, let's see, this one right here, instrument or ignition lock solenoid. So let's get that up in there. Turn it this way, slide it out, and then get your bolts in. Once you put this on, this should never come off, obviously, unless you've lost your keys or you stole the bike. Oh, here's one thing I didn't mention before. These two guys right here, these are going to be for the meter, the instrument cluster. Right here, we're going to use these for the instrument cluster. As you can see here, it just sets on it, and then you put your screws in. Then you're taking these four, and with the bar in the middle, it makes it a little bit easier than on, for example, like a bras, where you kind of have to get everything set and then kind of line it up the bar, right in the middle, the crossbar, and screw it down. Allen 6mm. Put that bar right in the center, and that way you can get both pretty easily. Next up, we're going to get a Phillips screwdriver. Use the bottom two screws right here so we can set this around on the bar and finish off the handlebar. One thing to note here, if this falls out, it's a little black piece. It goes, let's see, right up in here. Okay. Right there, and you gotta slide it so it's flush, and that's how that goes. And then obviously get it in the groove on this gold peg right there, and screw it in. Alright, let's take this piece right here, now that everything's on, and you gotta put it on the bar. This part faces up. This part's obviously gonna face up because that's your mirror. At this point, this was factory adjusted, right? So now is the time that you can angle everything as good as you want, like you want. Okay, so just so I don't lose them, I'm gonna put the keys in the ignition now, because I don't have to do anything up here anymore. Get the foot peg on. Where's my two foot peg hole bolts? Here, that's it. Alright, let's get, let's throw the mirrors on there real quick just so they're out of the way. Alright, so next up we're going to get this tank plastic on, and as you can see, there's two 5mm Allens already there waiting for you. And now this piece of plastic sometimes takes a little bit of maneuvering, shall we say, to get in the right spot. You will need to take the seat off for this. Alright, to get this on, you need the seat off, and I already pulled this screw out of right here that needed to come off. Okay, and notice there's a little groove right here on the plastic in there when you set it down. But that's how that. Now I like doing the top one first, just because I can tug on the bottom one a little bit more than I can the top one. Top one's a little bit tougher to maneuver the way you need to maneuver it. Now this bolt goes through this plastic, the top tank plastic, and then to the threading. So you gotta make sure it's all lined up nice. See, this bottom one's on an angle, so you gotta pull it down. Try to fits right through there. So you might, if that's too hard, you might have to someone else hold it, but you can usually do it with one hand. Do it too hard. Once that rubber starts exploding out from the side, obviously it's probably tight enough. At this point in time, it's probably best to do the this piece right here, as it's going to go up in there, something like this. And so we have to get our 2 clips ready and our 2 little Phillips that come in the bag of bolts. Now you can get any bolt you want for any of this, obviously. And honestly, I don't know if a Phillips right here is the best, but that's what it comes with. If you lose one, definitely don't put a Phillips back in. Put something else. These right here, gotta get these. I don't know what these are called, but you put them on, slide them over the edge. Alright, so I don't have this super tight yet because I want to get the center part in. As you can see right here, there's holes behind it. This has to be pulled down to here to get them in. So that's why I'm saying leave everything loose, get one in, and then just tighten them all down at the end. So out of everything on this bike, getting these 2 probably will be the hardest part. Alright, so I just got everything lined up. Once this is in, it is extremely solid. Everything is there, no doubt. Getting it there might be a little tough. Hopefully over time it kind of settles into place. But it's on there now and it ain't going nowhere. It won't be rattling or anything. So next up, let's get on the headlight. I say headlight first so that when you put on the fender, you can line it up. Because it's easier to slide the fender side to side than it is the headlight. Now, the headlight, as you see here, you're going to need the light itself, and you're going to need your 4, I don't know what these are called, whatever these are called, and then your 4 things. So let's get these, smush them in a little bit so it holds, and then slide them to the opening right over each hole. I like pulling off the plastic now, just in case something gets caught behind, you can still remove it. First things first, find your headlight plug and get that plugged in. Now these move a little bit side to side, so you do have some wiggle room like this, and what actually holds them together in place is when you bolt all 4 of these together. Okay, so let's get them in here. These go behind on the inside. Once again, just get them threaded on all 4, just so there's a little bit of wiggle room still in case it's needed. Now the front turn signals are already in there for you. However, obviously if you need to adjust them, now is the time. Okay, those 2 are in. Headlights on. Make sure your wires are all free and everything's inside where it needs to be. The only thing outside should be the brake. Okay, so now it's starting to look like a motorcycle. Getting close. Alright, so when you put this in, it's going to go like this. This bolt is going to sit right there. Okay, and then there's a big screw for the big one right here, and the little one's going to go up front, and that's going to be this little 8mm. This is a 10, this is an 8. Alright, now there's a huge gap. Here's your adjustment. This is your adjustment plate for left right. Obviously when this is inside, I've got, you know, a lot of adjustment left and right. Not a lot, but I have adjustment. Be careful though, this is not the time. The bottom of the triple tree is not where you want to strip a bolt. So get that threaded, then get this one in. And you're only going to have room for a regular socket. Deep socket won't cut it here. Okay, so this goes in. You see this all adjusts and everything now. Even this thing, everything hits at this point. So getting this one kind of snug. Flatten it out a little bit. Well, there's still some wiggle room. Last time I shoved this all the way to the left. and tighten that top one first. Alright, and the reason for doing the headlight first is because when I put this fender on, I'll be able to see, you know, center point right here, is it roughly lined up, you know. And then this is your adjustment bracket for the fender if it's off to the side. These are going to be your bolts and your fender washers. Let's check it out. Where's it lined up? With everything loose, see how much wiggle room there is here? So hold it where you want it and then snug up your bolt. Basically, I've done all I can do on the ground. I still got the front wheel, the foot pegs, and the rear shock bolt, and the rear brake caliper. At this point, it is highly recommended you have a second person grab underneath here and lift, while the other person just slides the bolt through. That is by far easiest and fastest. However, I'm by myself right now, and I don't have a second person. So what I'm going to do is what I've done before is you're going to undo that front axle bolt, so, and let the forks hit the ground. Then I'm going to grab the tire and place my jack or whatever's going to lift it. You're going to rest it on off to one of the sides, and just slide it over and then jack up the jack. That's probably the easiest way to do it when you're by yourself. Is it the best way? No. Like I said, best way, second person, just lift up the back and slide the bolt through. Problem solved in 10 seconds. You know, but right now I think most people who are assembling this are going to do this by themselves. So what you're going to need is a big Allen. What size is this one? 10 mil. Get that axle out. The only reason I say you can't just, if you have a jack that's low enough just to slide underneath there and lift it up, that's definitely easiest. And you do have space if the rear is lifted up and the shock bolt's in. But right now I don't have space. So I have to get this axle out and slide everything over. So let's see if I can do that. This axle right here is a Haas of an axle compared to the Bras. This is thicker. The front axle on a MotoMax is thicker in diameter than the rear on a Bras. So the bones of this bike are pretty stout. So now it's resting by itself. Going to get my jack lined up where I want it. Have it on there? I think so. Alright. So by yourself, that's essentially what you gotta do, because unless you're a lot stronger than me, but I don't know. Do whatever you can do it without knocking it over. And now what I'm gonna do is just lift this up, and as it gets up, you know, the shock gets to the right spot, I'll just slide the bolt through, and that'll be that. Using a washer and the regular looking nut. I really couldn't get the other one to thread on nice, and this one I know will for sure. So let's do that. So get these on there and snug it on your shock bolt. Next up, we are going to get this front tire on, okay? So these are all going to be my spare bolts, it looks like, for the time being. I'm going to need these two. Need my axle. And these are all for the foot pegs, so don't worry about these. Let's put them over, right over there. So, first up, let's get that free. Alright, the gear counter is free. Get the tire. And oh, I kicked this way over here. This is your spacer. spacer goes on the brake side. Alright, let's roll it in the right direction. Let's get the rotor inside the pad. Put this just sitting right there. Let's get this sitting where it needs to be. Okay, now gotta kind of watch both sides and go up with it. Alright, and this screws in, remember, on the other side. And because it's a screw-in, that means it also can get stripped. Now this is probably a pretty strong, you know, area on the other side of the fork. But even so, get it started first. Once you see it getting started, you are then free and clear. There we go. Alright, now remember you got these two pinch bolts right here, so don't forget about them. They're real easy. Bam. So this and no nut on this side. The things that hold it in are the threading and then the pinch bolts. So definitely you don't gotta, they're just Allen, so they're not meant to be crazy tight, but just get them pretty nice and snug. Get this nice and snug first, then get your pinch bolts nice and snug, and that's all there is to it. Look at that. Alright, the only thing left on this bike now is foot pegs. The big part goes on the bottom like this, just like that. So get that in your on bottom. By bottom I mean down. Sleeve through, and you're going to get that tip of the spring on that lever right there, and then slide it in and push this through. Alright, so sometimes this takes a little while, sometimes it's real quick. Depends on the day, I suppose. Alright, and then on the bottom end, once it's through, you put your washer, then you put your cotter pin. Just realized shoot, I think I have two right pegs. Alright, well obviously if that happens to you, just let us know and we'll get that figured out for you. But this particular bike came with a couple of different pegs, the same peg. Interesting. Okay. Fixed. On. Alright, now I'll do the other side. And this bike's almost the battery real quick. Alright, so once all the foot pegs are on, this bike is essentially ready. Okay? Your battery, unlike the Bras battery, is not one that you have to fill. It's already ready to go in there. You just got to hook up your battery leads right here. Okay? And you should have power already. Okay? Now, the only other thing after that, so it's real easy to get, unlike the Bras, it's quite easy to access your battery on this bike. Now, we'll say, here's what everybody always says. We carry Sunoco oil, and I'm going to put this 1550 in this unit right here. Alright, scroll over online to our stuff. We got the oil for sale. You can grab a quart or two or a whole case. You know, just depends on how much you need. The oil is good oil that comes in it, so you can run it to break in anyway on the original stuff, or you can change it right away, change it at 100, change it at 500, you know, whatever you want. Valves should be adjusted at 500 on every bike. Okay, so you guys need to do that. you're really serious, you should adjust your valves before you fire it, and then adjust it again at 500. But 500 is like everything's been set, and then that's going to be probably where it holds for a while at 500. So make that adjustment then. Put some good oil in it. Bashan tells us it's good oil, it's engine oil. It's not just shipping stuff like they always say. I hear on the internet all the time. But I'll tell you this, anytime one of these engines has sat for 3 months without being started, you should change the oil in case water got in there or condensation or anything. So because you're buying a bike in a box, you don't know how long it's been in that box. Bashan doesn't make these engines, they get them from Zhongshan, so you don't know when the last time this was run or started. So it probably is wise to change oil, if not right away, at the 100-mile mark. But like I said, you can always toss in a quart. Call me over the phone. I can't publish it, but you call me over the phone and you want to get a case of oil. We've got the good Sunoco stuff, and I'll give you a deal that you can't get anywhere else on quarts of oil. So at this point, this bike is ready to run. I'll throw some gas in it and crank it up. So, but that's assembly for a late 2020 MotoMax. If you have any questions, obviously there's my email. There's also the Bashan Facebook group. There is ChinaRiders.com. A lot of help there. So a couple sources. I'm just one guy, so every time tons of people ask me, don't be surprised or offended if I don't get back to you the first day. So just wanted to put that out there. But with that said, it's pretty straightforward. You saw what I needed to do, and I think it took me about 2 hours on this one, working by myself. So everybody else is going home. Now it's my turn to go home. But thanks for watching.